and I have Crawford winning this fight. Crawford's going to win this fight doing something that nobody's done to Canelo.
Okay.
That's all I'm going to say. And it didn't take me going to camp to know this.
Okay.
So Israel Madrimov says that if Terence Crawford bulks up, that's going to be the biggest mistake he can possibly make. And that's going to hinder him from being victorious against Saul Canelo Alvarez.
That's entertainment. You know, when you're a great fighter, a great entertainer in general, you want the person to say, when do I see that person again? When's he going to play again? When's he going to fight again? You know, you got to be able, if you can't put in seats, you're going to get fired. You know.
Mike Tyson gave his views after seeing Terence Crawford train, stressing how important it is to stay calm before such a big fight with Canelo. He said fighters always deal with heavy pressure on nights like this, but the biggest test happens in the mind. Tyson explained that if Crawford controls his thoughts and doesn't let nerves take over, he can show his full ability and make winning look far easier.
You know, fighters, pressure, right? Pressure's not being hit. You know, everybody thinks pressure's like getting on, staying on. Pressure's the thought of being hit. And that's how they fall. The thought is going, I'm not hitting that hard, but they think I am.
Right. So
it's all psychological.
Are you, when you're walking to the ring, are you noticing anything, or are you so locked in?
I see everything moving. Every person, every girl.
Dude, your walk-ins would last longer than the fights sometimes.
Do anyone have a napkin on my towel? Because I'm sweating like a pimp in one hole up here.
You sweat.
We will get you one.
You sweat.
Thank you.
Yeah.
You're sweating like Charles Barkley at a spelling bee.
Yeah, I'm gonna be sweating pretty hard there too.
Exactly. So, Mike, we all know you hit hard. Who was the first person that when they hit you, you was like, oh, okay, this guy hits pretty hard?
Amir Khan, a former champion who once fought Canelo Alvarez, spoke about the scale of a possible fight between Canelo and Crawford. Khan admitted Canelo is an elite boxer with unmatched experience, but added that Crawford also carries dangerous punching power. As Crawford moves up in weight and grows stronger, Khan believes he is at his best. He said this won't be a one-sided match since both men bring rare skill. For him, the clash is more than a fight. It's two special talents, either of whom can end it with one move. While he respects Canelo's dominance at heavier weights, he warns that Crawford's ability to adjust and fight smarter makes the result unpredictable.
He did that to Canelo after. So to your point, can Crawford do the same? Coming up from 54 and 47, can he, or will that, throw off the catch and shoot? I was going to catch and shoot.
We're not catching and shoot.
We're catching and resetting and getting out of this range for a minute or two.
My fight with Arrow, I came back to the corner. I had a look on my face, I guess. And my dad said, what's wrong? I said, nothing. Like, classic Sean, nothing. He said, Sean, tell me what's wrong. I said, my legs are kind of tight. He said, your legs kind of tight. He looked back, looked behind him. He would always do this and look back at the other corner. I don't know why. He looked back at them.
It was a habit problem.
He said, all right, we're not going to use our legs so much this round. And I was thinking to myself, like, I need these legs.
I'm not trying to wear these shots.
Yeah. So, to your point, when there's a feeling,
when the nervous system goes, ow,
where does that adjustment take place? Do you trust the adjustment? Do you implement it? So that next round I did settle down a little more. I was
lost the round.
Whatever. Hello.
I know around here.
Know around here. So we got some time until this fight. So we ain't gotta pour it all out at one time. We'll work our way up to this one.
Try to get on big guests to lead up to the fight.
Expect some more very, very big guests, and expect some very, very big things from the Puerto Rico podcast. The week of Crawford versus Crawford versus Canelo versus Crawford takes place here. What is that? September 6th?
13th. I was just gonna say, I've been critical of the fight because I felt like it serves as a foreground to the Ali Act stuff. And
experts have quickly raised questions about Crawford's age and his step into higher divisions. By the time this fight might happen, Crawford would be 38, an age where natural decline affects every boxer. Though he fought at 154 pounds against Israel Madrimov, many doubt one match proves he can compete with someone as experienced at higher weights as Canelo. In boxing, age impacts speed, reflexes, and recovery, all key against a non-stop opponent. Observers argue that while Crawford's skills remain sharp, his body may not respond like before. They see this bout as the toughest of his career, not just technically, but also physically and mentally.
Being successful, September 13th, Las Vegas, Nevada, Allegiant Stadium, when he takes on another first ballot Hall of Famer, 4-division world champion, 2-time undisputed world champion, and reigning undisputed super middleweight world champion, Mexican superstar boxer Saul Canelo Alvarez, who is 63 wins, 2 losses, 2 draws, 39 wins by way of knockout. Terence Crawford had one fight at 154. That was against Israel Majimov, the WBA junior middleweight world champion, right? And since then, Terence Crawford has moved up now to 168 to challenge Canelo Alvarez, okay? And so prior to that, he spent 5 years at what? Welterweight. So the concern that people have for Terence Crawford, rightfully so, is that Terence Crawford will be 38 years of age 2 weeks after the fight. So he's 37, okay? Terence Crawford has one fight at 154. Prior to that, Terence Crawford has been competing, okay, since 2018 for the last 7 years at 147. Since June of 2018, he's been fighting at 147. His only fight outside of that division in the last 5 to 6 years was his fight against Israel Majimov at 154, which he won, unanimous decision. I thought he handily won, but people thought that he struggled. Israel Majimov is now 10 wins, 2 losses, 1 draw, 7 wins by way of knockout because he lost his last fight to Mexican superstar, WBC junior middleweight interim champion, Virgil Ortiz Jr.
Crawford and his coaches have often stressed how carefully they're preparing. They remind everyone they won't repeat the mistakes of Jermell Charlo, who lost badly to Canelo. Crawford says he's no Charlo. His style, focus, and fight IQ make him different. His camp is working on strategies built on movement, timing, and smart control of the pace. Their plan shows they know brute strength won't beat Canelo. Instead, they aim to frustrate him with defense and strike back with counters. Training has been brutal, filled with hard sparring and tough workouts made to copy Canelo's power and pressure.
Team Crawford just revealed that they're currently working on making sure that the Omaha native doesn't end up like Jermell Charlo this coming September 13th when he faces Canelo Alvarez. Now this report comes from Boxing Scene, wherein it was just revealed by somebody from Crawford's camp that Terence Crawford is, quote, wary of repeating the mistake that former 154-pound champion Jermell Charlo made to a new weight limit without consideration of other factors. Boxing Scene further elaborated by saying that Crawford wants to retain his ability to fight with fluidity, maximizing the effectiveness of his power punches from both hands and ability to fight from a southpaw stance. With that said, Crawford's camp is now on full lockdown from the media or any sort of distraction up until fight week. Now, it's definitely worth considering that while it's technically...
Analysts have warned about the dangers that come with moving up in weight. Extra size can slow a fighter's speed and reaction. Photos of Crawford looking bigger recently have sparked debate. Some believe he may have lost his sharpness, though others say pictures can mislead because of lighting and angles. Still, the concern stays the same. At his age and heavier frame, will Crawford keep the speed that has always been his edge? Adding muscle brings more power, but it can also drain stamina and limit movement.
Because the man is simply human. I mean, the more you age, and the more weight you gain, of course you're going to be slower. Now, that doesn't mean that he won't be an elite fighter anymore. No, of course not. When you talk about special fighters like Terence Crawford and Canelo Alvarez, they can handle themselves against anyone on any given night in the worst circumstances possible. That is a fact, ladies and gentlemen. So let's get back into the discussion when it comes to Terence Crawford carrying the 168 division, when it comes to the 168 pound weight. So if you actually think about it, Terence Crawford, how is the man looking right now? I know, yes, I know that we have seen The new pictures of Bud Crawford with him looking absolutely massive. But I actually talked about this in one of my previous videos, ladies and gentlemen, which you can go back and check out. Terence Bud Crawford, don't let these pictures fool you, ladies and gentlemen. Don't let these pictures fool you. Yes, of course Terence Bud Crawford gained weight, but the pictures make it seem like Terence Bud Crawford looks like a heavyweight. Let me tell you this, ladies and gentlemen. The lighting and the pump and the angle, everything plays a part in how you look in pictures. You know what I mean? Like, this is a fact, ladies and gentlemen. I can show you 2 pictures of me taken within 24 hours, and in one picture my physique looks completely different than the other picture. One picture I can take after having a unbelievable workout, with a nice sweat on, with a nice pump, with some nice lighting and a nice angle. I would look completely different than when I look right now or getting out of bed, which I just did.
Trainer Abel Sanchez, one of the most respected voices in boxing, brushed off the idea that Crawford truly has a chance against Canelo. He described the fight as closer to a sparring match, saying Crawford is simply too small to compete with Alvarez. His view echoes many who feel Canelo's natural size, power, and long record at heavier divisions give him a clear advantage. Sanchez admitted Crawford is a great fighter, but greatness alone can't.
Crawford, quote, it will be a sparring session for Saul Canelo Alvarez. Coach Abel Sanchez dismissed Crawford's chance against Canelo. And it's really because of the weight gain. Renowned Mexican trainer Abel Sanchez has reignited the hype surrounding Canelo Crawford, scheduled September 13th, Las Vegas. Speaking to the ring, Gennady Golovkin, trainer, says, quote, Crawford is a great fighter, but that's why weight divisions exist. Canelo has proven that when he moves up, he faces and beats the best in each category. Neither Bivol could hurt him, nor could my fighter in 2 fights. And he's talking about Golovkin. And even though Canelo and Golovkin fought 3 times, Abel did not train him for the 3rd fight. It was Jonathan Banks. So that's why he said in the 2 fights that he's familiar with, he's saying that Golovkin never really hurt Canelo. The weight jump, the big disadvantage. Crawford, undefeated record. He's 41-0, 31 knockouts. Agreed to move up to 168, blah, blah, blah. And he says, quote, if Crawford had taken 3 or 4 years to gain strength and mass properly, he would have a better chance. But doing it in just over a year is too risky. He'll be slower, and Canelo will dictate the pace. Now, this is a recent picture of Crawford, who definitely looks in shape. And, you know, that's what we come to expect from a guy like Crawford.
Chris Algieri, however, sees things differently and has criticized the hype around the fight. He said, while it's exciting, it is far from the greatest battle ever. According to him, the match doesn't compare to legendary rivalries where both fighters were in their peak years. Algieri believes fans may be exaggerating the drama since Crawford is stepping into new territory against a proven champion who has already succeeded in bigger weight classes.
I love it because I have a lot of casuals who go to me and like, man, I can't wait for this fight. This is the best matchup that could be made. And I'm like, no, it's not. It's certainly not. Definitely not. Definitely not the best fight that can be made right now. I can think of a dozen fights that I would rather see. And a lot of them include Inoue against a bunch of different guys that I would rather see over this fight. But casual fans don't care that much about 122-pound guys who fight across the world in Japan. They care about big names and characters. But at the end of the day, when you look at this on paper, Crawford's 38, Canelo's 35. Neither looked very impressive in their last fight. They're still 3 weight classes apart. That has not changed, because, you know, and Crawford hasn't fought in a year plus. And yeah, I mean, there's a lot of poo-pooing of this on paper. So I'm glad somebody says it. So thank you.
He didn't say his name.
Yeah, I like this guy. He came out there and just said his piece and left.
That's the type of guy that definitely calls in the WFAN here in New York. It's like, we need Boone fired. The Yankees suck. I don't look forward to anything. But,
what's up with that bullpen? Yeah, all right,
I'm out. I'm out. I'll hang up and listen. But yes, like, You said there are a bunch of fights you'd rather see. There are a bunch of fights I'd rather see both these guys in rather than the one we're getting. Like, I'd rather see.
That's a great way to put it, too.
Yeah. Boots versus Crawford. I'd rather see Canelo versus Benavidez, Canelo versus Bivol, Canelo versus anyone at 168 of these top 5 there.
What about Virgil and Crawford? I like that fight. That got mentioned at one point.
Absolutely. I mean, but this is how boxing works. We'll all be excited on September 13th because it is a big event. We've talked about this numerous times on the show. We need big events, at least 1 or 2 of them a year to stay relevant as a sport. It's on Netflix. We're all going to be excited that week heading into it. Maybe even that guy.
Hey, Dan and Chris. Love the show. This is Nero calling from Hollywood. I was wondering, with so many people taking Bud Crawford to win, I think at one point it felt like a hot take, and now it's becoming sort of a standard take. I hope this isn't too much of an abstract question, but can you think of another time where someone chose what seemed to be a hot take and then become the regular take? And what was the result of that fight? Personally, I think it's a bridge too far for Bud Crawford, and I think people are underestimating Canelo, but who knows?
Boxing analyst Showbiz the Adult pointed out the big gap in the level of opponents each man has fought. He argued that none of Crawford's wins came against fighters who could handle the kind of champions Canelo faced. Canelo has fought and beaten champions across several divisions. Crawford, despite being undefeated, hasn't faced the same level of threat. Critics often accuse Canelo of avoiding the hardest fights, but supporters say every man he fought was skilled, and many were champions. Comparing resumes, Canelo clearly had the tougher road. His opponents were top fighters across divisions, while Crawford's unbeaten run came against boxers of lesser standing.
Name the fighters Crawford fought who would beat Triple G. That Spence that Crawford fought, that Kell Brook that Crawford fought, that Sean Porter that Crawford fought, would any of them beat Callum Smith at 168? I'm not sure how many fighters Crawford fought would beat the Miguel Cotto that Canelo fought. This is what I'm trying to say. When it comes to skill, experience has a lot to do with it. Case in point, you get an Austin Trout, you get a Caleb Plant, you get a Lara, you get a Floyd Mayweather, you get a Bivol. Just those 5, when it comes to experience, gives him the right experience that when he fights Crawford, he's not like, I don't know what this is like. There's not one fighter Crawford fought that would give him the experience against Canelo.